Hey guys, have a little rant. So I love our First Amendment. I love our Constitution. I love all of our rights that we get from God. I love it. Um, but I'm having an issue with the First Amendment when it comes to the press because we haven't really defined press, have we? And the press we have now, CNN, MSNBC, they're getting away, and Fox to a lesser extent, but they're getting away with outright lies or not communicating things outwardly and constructing a narrative rather than just reporting news. So they're not really acting as press, they're acting as tabloid news. And as we know, plenty of celebrities have went after tabloid news in the past and have sued them and won successfully. So I don't think our press should be covered. I think they should be liable when they mislead people for years. So there's got to be something that's fixed here because Facebook even has a narrative and is only pushing one side, and so people aren't getting truth, the real truth. And there's a lot of truths that have came out lately that have proved that the media is outright lying to people and manipulating them. Nick Sandman, for example, Rittenhouse. Those are all both fabricated. Those were both fabricated lies by the media to get people upset. Neither one was a racist. Rittenhouse shot white people. He didn't shoot black people at all. He didn't even say anything. He was out there trying to help in a very naive 17-year-old way with a gun. And yes, did he have some bad decisions? Yes. But it was nothing what the media was misleading and manipulating people into believing. The Russia hoax for 4 years. 4 years they lied to these poor, manipulative, poor, gullible people into believing that Russia was colluding with Trump for 4 years. And it turns out it was the DNC that actually paid for all of that. Wasted all of that taxpayer money, misleaded, manipulated their side, their people, into believing this outright lie. So I don't understand why these people, the media and their arm, the Democratic Party, or media's Democrat Party arm, I don't know, are putting up with it. I mean, crime is on the rise so high right now, mostly in Democrat-run cities, because people are defunding the police. The media, their media, CNN, I hate even calling them that, CNN and all those places that claim to be news, they're not reporting it. So you have these people running around having no clue saying, defund the police, defund the police. They're still pushing to defund the police. You have a border being open where women and children are being trafficked and raped and nasty stuff. You thought Trump and his cages were bad. Well, Biden was like, hold my beer. I mean, I've got some notes here. So they say we're having a pandemic here while they open the border and let scores of people from Mexico in here while Mexico has the highest rate of COVID ever on record. If they cared about COVID, why, and us wearing masks and getting vaccinated, why are they opening up our border? The media is not investigating this stuff that doesn't make sense. They're not looking into it. They're not reporting it. They're not doing anything about it. They're just kind of making up a story on the side and then feeding it to very, very gullible Americans and making them freak out and have riots and burn stuff down. You've got people in this country that actually believe that the police are racist. You've got people actually believe that. And I know it's tough because you guys are still probably plugged into Instagram and Facebook and TikTok, and you're probably you're plugged into all that stuff. You're watching this nasty news, whether it's on MSNBC, Fox, or CNN every day. I've unplugged from that stuff. You look back on some of the stuff that these people are saying, okay, that you hear about on C-SPAN when you watch it directly from their mouths, and you're like, how does anybody in their right mind believe that that's okay? How can on one side of their mouth say, let's be compassionate to illegals, while allowing illegals to get raped and trafficked by the cartel because they have open borders? How can they're speaking on two sides of their mouths, and our gullible population doesn't even see what's happening. So they just go, I don't understand this confusion. How do I make sense of this? I guess I need to turn on MSNBC and watch some Rachel Maddow so she can tell me how to sort this out. And then they go around on social media, on Facebook and stuff, and they spread this crap around. And then now everybody thinks that's true. I have very intelligent people in my family that I used to respect a lot that have actually fallen for this crap. They've fallen for it. They think that boys can be girls just because they want to, and boys can be girls and girls can be boys. And believe me, I have compassion for those with gender dysphoria. It's a horrible mental illness. I do not wish on my worst enemy. But we can't ignore truths because of compassion. We have to be compassionate to the women in sports who are losing their opportunities because men are beating them in races, or men are beating them up in the MMA ring. Why we've ever... I'll tell you what, unplug for a month and then go out, unplug for all that crap that you're feeding your head with, you're indoctrinating yourself with, and then go out, okay, go to MMA fight, and you can watch a man who claims to be a woman beat the crap out of a female. How did our society, with all of the fight, especially from my feminist friends, how did we get to a place where we're legally encouraging men to beat the crap out of females, out of us? When did it ever become okay? Or to beat us to take our Olympic spots or our scholarship spots? Look, let's have sympathy or compassion. Let's do that. Let's not ignore truths, but that's what the media is doing. Is it's pushing nonsense onto our heads, making us forget about science, making us forget about common sense, making us forget about anything at all other than what they tell us to think. You gotta unplug. Nick Sandman, I think I brought him up at the beginning. That was another thing. They said, oh my God, this guy, he's such a racist. Oh, look how he's treating that poor Native American man. Come out, none of it was true. Darren Wilson and Michael Brown, remember the hands up, don't shoot stuff? All turned out to be a huge hoax and a lie. The Russia hoax, huge lie. The DNC paid for all that stuff. Manipulated half of our country, our naive half, into believing this stupid stuff, this stupid crap. And what do we do with our First Amendment? How do we hold these people accountable? These are our fellow citizens. We need to protect them. They're too gullible to understand what even happening to them. Anybody in their right mind knew right away that Russia wasn't colluding with Trump, or Trump wasn't colluding with Russia. It took about 2 ounces of common sense to figure that one out. But if you're watching Rachel Maddow all day and hearing stupid stories about Trump being a racist and all this other nonsense, if you could believe that, the guy who won the humanitarian award for the PUSH project to help Black Americans get into leadership positions in corporate America, if you want to believe that guy is racist, then you're an idiot. Anyway, so, I mean, there's just so much proof that he's not an idiot, that he's not a racist. There's not proof he's not an idiot. I don't like some of the things Trump did, but he had to be, I guess, fairly smart to get in the positions he was in. So anyway, he was never a racist. That was stupid to even say, stupid to even think. The people who loved him for 30 years of all colors automatically, just because Rachel Maddow said he's a racist, the bright light of hypnotism, he must be a racist. I don't need facts, I just need Rachel Maddow to tell me what to think. That's where we're at. And our colleges are doing it to our people too. But we got to protect our gullible people in this country. We got to get people to unplug a little bit from the tablets. We got to teach parents that the tablets are not babysitters for our kids. That we need to give them knowledge. We need to teach them what the 10th Amendment is so they know. We need to teach them what the First Amendment is so they know. We need to teach them what the Second Amendment, the Fourth Amendment, all of our amendments and their rights that were given to them by God, that our government is supposed to protect. We need to teach them what it is. And I guarantee you, any of you, nobody really watches my videos, but any of you that do watch the videos, I want to ask this question. Do you know what the 10th Amendment is? Can you tell me what it is right now and what it protects? Because I can tell you what, our federal government's already trampled all over it. And you would probably be a lot happier if it would have been protected. Okay? But anyway, back to our meeting. I can do a whole other video on the Constitution. Maybe I will someday. But yeah, so they're telling people that we have a health crisis. They're telling vaccinated people that they're not protected from the virus and that if they get sick, it's the unvaccinated people's fault. Dumb. But you know what? I do encourage you to get vaccinated. I'm not a doctor. Please seek them out. I have to have that disclaimer. I don't want YouTube to think that I'm trying to push medical advice, because I am not. Hear me, YouTube? I am not pushing medical advice. I'm not saying anything about that. I'm just saying people need to be critical thinkers. They need to think, you know. And the media is not giving us the news. And you should know that. And you do know that. So they're telling us that inflation can be good. They're telling us that defund the police is good all while our cities go to crap. And people are like, yes, defund the police, hypnotized. They're erasing the female identity. None of our females are standing up and saying, hey, let's stop doing that. that segregation is fine. Now, I know that the Democrats were behind segregation to begin with, but come on, man. Burning down cities is fine. That's allowed. You can burn down cities, but you know what? You better not walk into the capital, your state your country's capital. You better not just walk in there with a flag. But, you know, if you want to burn down Portland in the name of some fake Black Lives Matter issue, then go ahead and do that. That's fine. And beat police up and kill them, because we've had an epidemic of police shootings, people actually shooting police because they believe this nonsense. But the media doesn't report that to you, so you don't know. So yeah, it's just ridiculous. It's nonsense. It's dumb. The whole January 6th thing is ridiculous. The crap they pushed about January 6th. Turns out that none of it is true. None of it's true. Other than that people walked into the Capitol. Yep. None of it's true. In fact, you need to look into this guy named Epps. It turns out that there might have been an FBI plant in there. And you know what? Listen, I'm not a right-winger, but every time the right wing comes up with a conspiracy theory, I go, oh my God, those crazy right-wingers are coming up with another conspiracy theory. Lately, the last 4 years, every time they've done that, it turns out to be true. So, you know, I would put more trust in that right now than I would the media, the conspiracy theories, because our media is doing a really, really bad job of actually digging down and who's doing any reporting on this January 6th thing? Nobody. All they're doing is sitting there saying, oh, the evil January 6th, it was an insurrection. Well, I tell you what, I challenge any of you to go out there and watch actual YouTube videos, not by leftists or rightists or anything like that, to go out there and watch it. That was not an insurrection. You would have a better argument over insurrection if you were to look at what happened in Portland. They took over a whole city and even made an autonomous zone. So if you want to talk about insurrection, you actually have it going on in Oregon, you know. But you know what? Those people won't be held accountable. So the bias in our media and our government, the bias in our government is actually invading our courts. And when that happens, when the courts are completely invaded, that's when we're going to have problems. That's when all this stuff the country's going to fall apart. Because right now, the only thing that's holding us together is a few judges, not many, a few judges that believe in the Constitution, and a few very big-mouthed conservatives and moderates. I don't consider myself conservative. I have too many liberal leanings for that. But I do appreciate our conservative friends and our constitutional judges. I appreciate them very much. You are warriors, and you can't just talk, though. You've got to, I know the judges can't do this, but you senators, you congressmen out there that are actually doing, your women too, that are actually standing up for this stuff. You've got middle America, not just the far right on your side. Anybody, even liberals, are coming to your side because you are actually supporting liberalism, and your push for freedom of speech, and your push for equality, not equity, because equity is racism. So you're doing a lot of you're doing liberal stuff right now, and you don't even realize that you're doing it. You're filling the void that's been created by the Democrat Party, because all that's left in the Democrat Party now is leftists that want to indoctrinate you with their media, want to indoctrinate you with emotion, want to confuse you, manipulate our gullible population. And that right there should be, we need to be able to do something about it. How do we protect our gullible into believing this out? If this was just like normal nonsense, political nonsense, I'd be like, you know what, people are going to believe what they're going to believe. But this is, after you unplug, you'll agree with me, if you do decide to take up the challenge, that the stuff that these people are believing is outright nonsense. It's outright dumb. And it has no common sense to it at all. We've got to pray on it. We've got to pray on it. I appreciate you if you watched this long video and heard my rant. I appreciate it. Thank you. God bless.